Okay, everybody, so this is going to be the progress update for what's been going on with ICBM and stuff. I just finished up making a comparison video between my work and Aiden's on the same subject. So let's go ahead and make a new world here. I've completely trashed the old one and best just start over at this point. So we're going to use an actual world test this time. Normally I use some of my test worlds in order to better gauge what's going on, but I think the destruction it shows itself when you actually use a real world. Hopefully we get some villages this time. So this will work. Nice plains or whatever the hell these are called. We're gonna show off everything. So the main stuff I've been working on since last video is just improvements to the functionality of explosives, performance, bug fixing, massive amounts of bug fixing, translations, tooltips. Mostly polish work is a good way to put it. Almost every item now has a tooltip to explain what they are. All the explosives have got jokes below them. I am going to add a shift thing where, if I actually show it on one of these, where you hold down. Actually, one of these should have a shift thing. I guess none of them do. But some of the tools have functionality where you hold down shift and it'll show additional information. So what these will have is you hold down shift and it'll give you the proper information instead of a joke. So like this is like slightly more destructive than TNT and stuff. That's a joke actually at the fact that the earlier versions were less effective than TNT. Very few people will get it, but I have a laugh at it. So some of the big things to show. Let's see, which one of these first? One thing to show is the chemical explosives do not actually affect creative mode players anymore. At least I hope this is working because it's been a long day. I've been up for 26 hours, so trying to get you guys this update out as quickly as possible, while at the same time keeping up my classwork. So, no potion effects. That's pretty good. You can tell the chickens are actually dying, which means they're getting it. So that's one thing to show off here. Oop, wrong tab. EMP towers have a new effect for them. Some of the test versions, they were having some problems with various things going on. Main thing is the effects weren't rendering properly, and when they did render, they would render on top of the player. They weren't exactly EMPing. There's no IC2 support for these. One thing to point out in the progress videos, I will be working on that. That code is not actually at fault of ICBM. That's for the fact that Volt's engine itself's IC2 support is not functioning properly. We've been having a lot of issues with it. To be honest, I've had issues with IC2 support pretty much in every version of Minecraft I've ever worked in. It has a lot to do with the way they've designed it. It's not really at fault of player or anybody, it's just the way it is. I've pretty much not really questioned it. Let's go ahead and set up this experimental battery so we can go ahead and test it. If I can get that to work. Okay, it's infinite power. Here we go. This is actually running. Animations now work on this. They sync properly to the client. I got to optimize the packet data a bit more. It's pretty much spamming every 3 ticks, which is not too bad, but if you put a lot of these next to each other, you could watch your bandwidth go up very slowly. Although I think you would need about 1,000 of these to actually tank a decent bandwidth. But this actually works. So if I actually put this down next to it, we can see that there actually was a effect being tossed off. Nice blue effect there. Now I'm going to be working on that more to make it actually look like it's electricity. Right now it's set to an alpha transparent blue ball. I don't know what the original one was supposed to look like. I assume electrical charge. With my testing of some of the older versions, it does look that way, although there was bugs with it, so it's really hard to tell. But I'll toy with it more and I'll improve it. I know I was going to say I was going to leave everything as the way it was, but as I keep working on this, I'm seeing just things that need to be worked on. Particle effects are one of them. This is actually using a brand new particle effects system that I developed today. It's called the Visual Effects Provider system. This is actually going to be used by Armory Mod more than it is going to be used by ICBM because the Armory Mod provides JSON data, which means there's no code. So in order to get things like guns to generate effects, I need to have a provider system. So I went ahead and coded that, and this is going to use it. Almost all the machines and all the mods that actually make effects are going to start using that provider system because it's really nice. What it allows me to do and other developers is we can send a packet from the server to the client to generate effects rather than relying on the client itself to generate the effect. This also will come into play really nicely. We're going to be syncing configurations from the client to the server. So if you as the client on connected to a server, if you decide you don't want render effects, you don't want audio effects, you don't want animations, none of that data will be synced to your computer. This will not only improve your bandwidth because this data was going to be sent to you anyways, but then your client doesn't even have to think twice about what it's supposed to do because it will never receive the cues to render effects. It's going to increase performance by a decent amount both for the server and the client. But moving on, let me destroy this so I don't EMP any of the functionality machine. And one thing I like to point out with this version, which by the way, just to help out here since nobody has really figured this out yet, I thought it was self-evident, but I keep forgetting you guys, the users, are not watching my every step on Twitter or anything. So ICBM Classic is available for download. It is being automatically uploaded every single time I make a change. So if I make a change within an hour or two, a version will be uploaded. As you can tell, I've been pretty much working for quite a while now. So there's versions always going, though these are under review. The big problem is I probably need to ask the Curse team to turn on auto approval because they're getting spammed by 1, 2, 3, just so many requests for approval. And this isn't just by this mod, every one of our mods now does this. This is one of the Patreon goals that we were originally going to do, that if you guys ever got up to, I think it was like 2,000 a month, which would have been equivalent to a part-time job for me, I was going to be doing daily changes, which meant you guys would have got nightly builds instead of weekly. The original goal is to only be releasing one stable build a week. That way you guys don't have to download a new build every single day. Which was a big complaint in the old days when we used to work on UE. Because when we worked on UE, like back in the beta Minecraft days, we had to build like every 15 or 16 minutes. It was ridiculous. People couldn't keep up with it. Where was I? Other than that, not a lot of stuff has changed. I spend a lot of time working with the launchers. They actually do function now perfectly fine. The missile render is a little borked. This actually has to do with a patch I made to fix it originally. And what I did without even realizing it is I kind of borked the code ahead of time. Let's actually fix that. That's weird. It's gonna, whatever. It's not recognizing the launcher behind it, but as long as it's only a render bug, then we should be fine. Looks pretty good. I need power though. So let's go ahead and break this, put this down here, set to infinite, set this side. These, by the way, these prototype batteries are eventually going to actually make it into a mod later. But I got a lot of bugs to work on. As you can tell, they're not rendering their energy levels on the side properly. This is, I believe, an int overflow, or not an int overflow issue. It's where it thinks the max value should be 14, but it's actually 15. When it hits 15, it thinks it's 0 on the metadata value. But it actually does work. I can actually charge these up. These guys will say they have electricity. Right now it's saying it doesn't have a missile. There's quite a few bugs I've actually fixed with these. I believe these bugs actually were present in the older versions too. One thing I did add is you can now transfer data properly to the silos. I don't know if that was in the older versions. It is now. It does work. So you can set the coordinates. I've improved the redstone controls on them. Let me see here. There's a delay on the firing. As you can tell, the missile's upside down. That's what I was talking about, render glitches. But it does arc properly. It does land. That arcing code will eventually be ported over to the new version of ICBM 2. I'm just kind of more or less waiting on functionality changes where I'm trying to think of how to implement that. Because the new version, the missiles actually disappear when they hit the upper stratosphere, which means I have to then do mathematics to determine should it arc or should it go all the way up. But you can tell that worked out pretty well. Let me put another missile in there so I can show off that the remote detonators are working. Although I need the tier 3 control panel, I believe, for the remote detonators. I believe I also need the tier 3. I still got to work on multi-block code, it looks like. Oh yeah, there are some issues left. Yeah, so this is where I've been trying to get testers to work on things, is there actually are quite a few issues left to be resolved in the versions. And I don't want to release a version to you guys that's going to break your guys' world. But this does work. Can set the frequencies. Let me grab the remote detonator here. This actually will sync the frequency. If you right click, the frequency syncs. You no longer have to open a GUI, although I may edit it to include a GUI just so you guys can don't have to include a whole bunch of remote detonators. I also need to mirror the functionality so that the ICBM, the rewrite version, remote detonators work with the classic and the classic works with the rewrites. That one's going to take a bit of API fanatics to work with because these ones were overly simplified. Even though I copied the code from the new one to the classic, I stripped the code down a lot to make these just simplistically function. Less headache for you guys. Let me actually set the coordinates before we do this. I don't shoot myself. Let's go right there. I believe I set it over there, right? Okay, missile going up, missile going where? Houston, we lost a missile. Oh no, it's still in the tube. My eyes just suck. My brain's a little slow too. Time set J. There we go. Let's try that again. Something is not functioning properly. Probably we're too close is what's actually happening. I need to spend more time working on the silos because quite a bit was lost between the update. There we go. And it's working. I actually need to re-add the targeting. As you notice, if those familiar with the older version, when you activated remote things, you would see a target actually appear, and you would be able to see that actually impact. Although I think that actually only happened with the laser detonator. Let's reload these. Next thing I actually got to work on, by the way, is automated loading for these. I think it's actually functional right now, but of course I haven't tested it. Let's just make sure that actually is functioning properly. Yep, that's working. Cool. Cruise launchers have been dramatically worked on. You can actually set their coordinates now by right-clicking. I removed loading by right-click because of the fact there is a GUI for these. There is not a GUI for those for loading. This purple line you're seeing, by the way, is only dev only, just in case anybody was interested. That's so I know that it's facing the right direction. And I forgot these need power. I would throw a battery in the slot, but the batteries have not been programmed yet. So we are pretty much using these things. Oh, and I have to set the top. Okay, connection true. That's working. Put that there. Target. Target set. And I just need a missile now. Ready to go. And launch. Another thing I actually added to these as well, so you don't need to use these dumb levers. I'm not sure why Calculavi ever decided a lever was a wise use for this stuff. Which is, let me phrase it. Why he insisted that the user should have to pull a lever, because when it comes to automation, levers make sense. But if you're using this as a defensive platform where you're quickly say like zombies are coming out from there, you can target there, set this to there, and then fire. So if you need to quickly fire that, having a lever may not be the wisest ideal. Which, by the way, I may add a targeting system for this, where you actually have a control device where you can go, okay, I want to target there, and this thing will follow you the entire time, and then right-click fire. I actually made that bug happen with some sentry guns in the old version. There's a video actually on my channel. If you guys go all the way back to, I think, like 2012, you can see me bugging it out to where the railgun was following my cursor. Which, by the way, the sentry guns are not being re-added to the new version. This is intentional. I'm actually going to make a separate mod for them, and I will re-add the old turrets to the separate mod. That way you guys can get the old turrets if you want to play with them, but then you can experience the new turrets, which will use a lot of the technology that I wanted to implement in the sentry guns and never really got a chance to. But what else do I got to show off here? Missile coordinators work. This is something I was actually debating whether or not to update. They're pretty simple to use. Let's get another radar gun here. So how you work with them is you radar gun. If I can actually get this to work. I'm probably going to have to work on the radar gun some more. But you get your 2 position, and or switch these. I don't know why they're backwards. And it'll tell you exactly how far they're away from each other, how far the arc is in actual distance-wise, how long it's going to take, and the direction it's pretty much going in. Well, the direction is not really useful, but it does work. Also need to work on the rendering here. As you notice, it was flickering until I opened the GUI. When these things are fully powered, the render always stays on, but when they're not powered, they flicker. And that needs to be fixed. Beyond this, I've done some improvements to several of the missiles. Red matter is actually working really nice now. The render does glitch occasionally, like you saw right there. It's a bug that's actually existed in the version for quite a while, but it's become more evident in the 1.7 with the changes to the render system. I have worked on the speed. It now consumes blocks a lot quicker without causing major lag. That will be configurable. It was configurable in the old version, but I have not updated all the config systems yet. I've been working on the block renders today. They're roughly about the same as they were. They center a little better on the closure boxes, and they're also set to no clips along the walls, so that way you don't have to worry about a block colliding with a wall or colliding with a player. Although they are pushable. You can push the blocks down. But the render is doing some work here. Anti-gravity, I worked on it today a little bit. Let's actually kill this off so I can talk. Commands have been fixed, although they do need more improvement as well. So let's see. I know that anti-gravity is here somewhere. Here we go. So anti-gravity's been worked on. It's a little bit more optimized and it's a lot more destructive. I am planning on causing these to spread out more, but now it will grab blocks that are on the surface before grabbing blocks below. This is to improve its handling a little better. It will be optimized a lot more. It will also be threaded, although it sort of kind of is right now, but it's not properly threaded, which I need to actually spend time working on. Which, by the way, I can show that these are actually pushable. So as I went through them, they're actually pushing apart. Kind of a nice effect. It's an unintentional feature, but I'm going to leave it in there. But here's what I was talking about. I actually work on the renders. That is a bug that has existed in the mod probably since Minecraft 1.1, where those don't line up properly. And it has to do with the fact that the block is being rotated, but the rotation point for these blocks is actually in the corner rather than the center. So when you actually go to rotate them, they're rotating around that corner, which means they do not line up with the box properly. And I actually could fix that, but I have to spend some time messing with it. A couple other ones have been worked on today. Exothermic and the endothermics. So these are originally designed so they only work during day and night cycles, and they don't work during the rain and stuff like that. I've modified them. They now work during all times of day. They do function a little bit better. There's still some latency with them. This will be fixed with the transfer to the better threading system. That transfer to the threading system, I can't tell you when's actually going to happen because, to be honest, I'm not sure when I'll get another large window to work on things. The only reason I've got a lot of time this week is literally the only thing I got to do all week is take an exam, which I've got all the study notes for. But you can tell this one's working during the night. This one originally, well, it's actually that one won't work during the night. This one will work during the day or something. I don't remember which. I have worked on this. This one's a little bit more random. It actually will place snow blocks more often. It freezes water a little bit more effectively, and it does freeze lava. I am still working on things like replacing double grass. It's coded to do this, but for some reason has trouble. There has also been a lot of improvements to the potion effects. They no longer instantaneously kill you. That was actually a thing if you were below a quarter health, the frostbite would instantaneously kill you, and that didn't really seem fair to you guys, the players, especially if you're wearing really nice armor that should block the effect. It would just do like 500,000 magic damage to you, so it didn't matter what you were wearing, you would die. So what other explosives did I work on here? I think that's pretty much it. I still have to work on things like the Ender missile. I've been getting a lot of bug reports on stuff, so I've got a list of things to work on. Ender missile's one of them. Other than that, a lot of these other ones work pretty good. That's pretty much it. I mean, so it's a little bit of a short progress, or actually, I think this video's been going on for 20 minutes, so this is not really short, but that's it for the progress so far. I'm going to have more of these videos out. I'm going to try to start recording my development process and start uploading that. I don't know if you guys even care, to be honest, but I've been doing that with live stream for quite a while, and I think it'd probably be better formatted if I go ahead and record it and then strip it down of certain parts. Um, but we'll see how that goes. That's a hit or miss depending on how much time I get. Um, in other news of progress, the site is going to get the wiki probably at the end of this week or next week. I mean, we still got a lot of it to write, but the code's going to be implemented so it automatically pushes up to the site. So as we're working, you'll see the live changes to the site. But that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys later with more of these videos.